Femme House Fam, what's happening? Happy New Year. Happy Black History Month. It is her Mix-a-Lot. I am with the legendary, one of my favorite DJs, a hometown hero. We've adopted you in LA as one of ours, or at least I have. The one, the only, NAYGOD. What's happening with it?
Hey, yeah, just hanging in there. It's the first month of the year, but it feels like the year has been really long, so just hanging
You're
in
so
there.
real for that. I'm just like, shout out to the 6 month long month. Like, how many things can happen from day to day for real. We sure do. I got no choice. Tell the folks about yourself. Like, what's your origin story? What brings you here exactly to this moment? How'd you get here? How did Naomi become Nagod?
Yeah, great question. I am, yeah, based in Los Angeles. I've been here since 2019, and as half of my life is DJing and music and producing, and then the other half of my life is this PhD world, organizing, supporting organizers, that is food sovereignty and land reform. So yeah, it's like I feel like Hannah Montana sometimes because it really does feel like I have two lives. But I've been integrating it and been feeling like my full embodied self in both the science world and the music world these days, and feeling really grateful for that. But I'm originally from Chicago, born and raised, and so a lot of my musical influences, my sonic inspirations come from
How do you put Chicago and your queerness and your blackness and your scientistness into the tunes? Like, how does that show up for you musically?
I guess the word that I love to use the most is just experimentation. I love the idea of um using my like scientific background to really understand like deep research and deep study and understanding the history, the politics, the social dynamics of the music we call house music. And coming from Chicago, being Black and queer, and realizing the origins of that sound came from Black and brown queer folks in the like neighborhoods that I'm from, is just really resonates with me and feels like, and it's just grounding knowing that like I am only just a product of my environment. There are people that have done it before me. It grounds me knowing that like there's a path to follow. Experimentation, yeah, I love research. I love mixing things and doing things that are unconventional, and just kind of like finding that third thing out of blending two things. So I really enjoy experimenting with different sounds and genres, and just playing.
It really, I mean, my favorite thing about you and your ear as a DJ is like you have the craziest ear for edits and mashups that I think I've ever heard. And I mean, for me, like I can feel it feels like you're cooking up a potion, like you got your beakers and shit up there, you know what I mean? Like it feels very much like you're in the lab. How has which came first, like the scientist part or the DJ part?
The scientist part, I mean, I feel like both, but I was really like the scientist part was fostered by like I had a grandmother who was a math teacher turned principal, and was very like stern on teaching me like the importance of science and mathematics, and really just pushing that like on me from an early age, and then just kind of being like affirmed in that throughout my education. And being like growing up in like public school system, like being Black and queer, like I really did find like some like sense of belonging, or just like some sense of like, okay, like I am smart, like I am capable through my grandmother, through teachers and people that really like saw me in a way that I wasn't feeling like I was being seen. like, through by my peers. So, yes, the sciences did come first. I went to school for chemical engineering, and I went to school for master's in environmental engineering, so it's always been something that I've been really, deeply immersed in, but knowing, like, how toxic science can be, I really, like the music really came in to, like, really, like, reveal, like, the potential that science can have in communicating issues around, like, the social conditions that we face as Black and brown people in America and then across the globe. So both perspectives kind of have shaped the way I move in like politically and through music and through science.
Something that's coming to mind as you're sharing all of this is the word community. You haven't outright used the word community yet, but you talk about sort of like walking a path that's already been walked for you, and like maybe taking it a little bit further. You talk about your grandmother and sort of people in your village that sort of saw you in a meaningful way that helped you see yourselves. You talk about how you bring all of that and everything that you've learned with your lived experience to your music and to your work. Tell me more about like what is community to you, and how is it that it showed up obviously to shape you, but how are you shaping it?
Yeah. When I was younger, I was not like very secure in myself. I was very much so like trying to just find myself and just understand myself and like where I grew up like in a like semi-conservative like religious like upbringing like not like a little like I don't want to go too much into it but it did create some like level of like staying to myself a lot, and as I got older was just yearning to find people that I could just, like, talk to about, like, lived experiences, my attraction to folks, just, just, like, the things I was reading and thinking about without being, like, super, like, shunned or criticized or ostracized, and so I found that, like, in starting in high school, but mostly in college, and then really just, like, really s like, having peers bouncing off ideas from you just, like, created me like, a sense of purpose for me and just, like, an ability to, like, think critically about the world, and honestly, I just like, just finding community that was Black and queer like myself just kind of, like, opened, like, the door for me to just be confident and true of myself, and just kind of, like that's kinda how I found house music too because of the, like, underground queer Black spaces that I was occupying were playing the music that I would hear when I was a child, but I just didn't connect the 2 and 2 together, like, when I was a child, house music was very, like, old head music, like, just not like, I wasn't necessarily
Drag
like
me, drag me,
yeah.
drag me. I see, I see.
Wasn't
I
really
see what you're doing.
it
I
was
see
it
what
was
you're doing.
my parents' like music, but I didn't really understand the relevancy till I was in Black and queer, like, spaces where it was, like, being reinvented and, like, the narrative of it being like, the origins of the sound being Black and queer, like, was just stuck with me, and then it started to feel familiar. So then from then on, I was like, my goal is to, like, ensure that this familiarity is the case with house music, like, house music is Black music. That's why I really love the edits because I like to bridge that gap between the familiar and the unfamiliar to have people, like, recognize it, but also see, like, the through lines and the threads between, like, maybe music that we know and then, like, the sounds that we might not know but have been a part of like, conversation the whole time, just been erased or co-opted by, white folks, so
Say it.
yeah.
Um, say it louder. Say it more than once. I'm curious about like you called it your parents' music, which like first of all, ouch, girl. Not you calling me uncle, my own show. Okay. But like as your parents' music, did you understand it outside of just it being your parents' music? Like, did you understand the blackness of it? Did you understand the queerness of it? Did you understand sort of the political undertones and the socioeconomic politics that like make up that created this music? Or is that something that came later?
Yeah, because it was like when you're in it, like, it's like a fish in water. You don't even really realize you're in water. You don't really understand, like, uh, the terrain you're in. It's just like, it is what it is. So, like, growing up I was, like, hearing at the barbecues, the picnics, the family functions, and so I was like, "This is just the family function picnic music." Like, I wasn't even, like, putting 2 to 2 and together. It really was when I went to college and left my, like, predominantly Black environments and then started going to, like, the clubs and started going to the nightlife in, the East Coast and seeing, like, like house music in the descriptor of the events and the venues, and then going there thinking I'm gonna hear one thing and then hearing something completely different. The crowds and the audiences were completely different. And then also, like, talking with folks not from Chicago, but other places, Black and queer folks that when I bring up, like, "Let's go to this house music event, let's go to this thing," and they're like, looking at me crazy, like, "We don't wanna that's not, like, cute, like, that's not gonna be for us." And like, dissonance, like, really created a lot of confusion for me early on because 'cause I'm
Of
like,
course,
"This
yeah.
is, like, where this is what I grew up on," like, it wasn't until I started seeing other perspectives and vantage points of the definition of house music was where I was like, "Oh, there's not, like, everybody's not on the same page here." So
How do you I mean, I know your edits are one form that you sort of, use to educate, like, your audiences about that. Tell the folks about, solar power, like, is that I think of that as another way. I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but
yeah, so Solar Power is, a radio show that I host, and it is through this radio station called K-Chung, which airs in Little Tokyo. And my radio show thematically is around that nexus of like themes around environment, themes around being Black, themes around being queer, and just and music, and just kind of creating like those narratives through sonically. So sometimes I just have episodes where I'm just like, okay, these are all songs that evoke a sense of like me, like in my relationship with soil or like different sorts of environmental. So and then there's some episodes where I'm like, "Okay, yeah, it was Black August, a month where we reflect on, like, the what abolition means and prison reform." And so thinking through, like, songs that where people are, like, directly addressing, um just, like, think through, like, how music has been a tool for liberation, has been a tool for resistance, particularly for Black and, Indigenous. To noon, on every first Sunday, and it's just a time where I play songs that just, like, nurture my soul.
I'm curious about, your practice of sort of rest, right? Because you work you just deal with so much heady stuff, right? You're looking at this environmental science stuff all day, right? Which obviously um tends to negatively impact like our communities like the worst, right? And that's how you spend your days, like becoming a scientist, quite literally. And so much of your sort of personal politic is such that you're just thinking very deeply about these sort of really what one could call heavy themes, right? And how to sort of like use your work and just find liberation for yourself. What's your rest practice? Like how do you care for yourself? Because so much of the science that you deal with and also the way that you approach your music and just your presence in that community, they can be I imagine that it can get to be a lot. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine that it could. Um, just, I have the pleasure of, I consider you a friend, you know what I mean? So like I know how it can be. How do you care for yourself?
That's a question that I ask myself weekly. I have to check in with myself every day to make sure that I'm resting and doing the proper things, whether it's eating enough 'cause I can it can get to a sometimes if I don't check it, yeah, I can forget to do those things. So it is like a active and ongoing process of literally checking in with myself every day to make sure my needs are met. I am grateful to have people in my life that also like are like hold me accountable to that, like and like make sure that I sleep, even if I know I want to stay up to finish reading or writing something for school or for like a music project. And it's just I learned through trial and error that if I don't do those things, I will spiral out. So it's not just like it's so important to just keep up with that on daily because it does build up over time and then like I crash out or burn out. And
Sure.
so yeah, keeping that sustainable rest. Like how do I do it? I try to set hard boundaries with my, like, time and work schedule, like, there are just certain like, I just, like, after a X amount of time, like, I'm not taking any more meetings, just really, like, rigid time management, and I'm not perfect, like, this is just, like, my ideal, like, week, like, I follow my calendar,
Yeah.
everything in the calendar, and, like, to, like, eating, to sleeping, to the meetings, to, like, taking, like, walks, like, every thing is in the calendar, and if it's on the calendar, I'll probably forget it. Um, and then also just, when I don't have this rest, like, I just take the whole day and just sleep and enjoy the rest and just, yeah, it's really it's like it's almost too simple, but it's, like, hard because it's just always something, like, eating at you, like, "Oh, like, you need to be doing more." As I get older, then there's always time to complete the task, and timelines are very much, most of the time, arbitrary. So
Sure, sure. Yeah. What do you say? I mean, it's such a heavy time atmospherically, spiritually, emotionally, politically. It just feels to me the energy has felt very heavy and it has for quite a while. And it's sort of, we were talking about it before we went live, like just feels like every day there's something new, whether it be personally, whether it be outside, whether it be on the news, just, we are clearly, to me, like in sort of like the last phases of a transition to something that I hope will be better. But like typically, the last stand of, let's say, the fall of empire, right, is like very, very hard. Um, what do you say to the healers and creators? I consider us healers, I know it's just music, right? But we're the sort of we're the story holders, the storytellers, the archivists, the healers, the sort of conduits to joy, if we can be, the educators. Like, what do you say to everybody that's sort of carrying that around right
yeah,
now?
you're not alone, and I think we forget as human beings that we are social creatures, and we people to like hold us when we're down or low. Like I definitely have had some really hard days recently, and if it wasn't for like my partner and my mom and just like people that I know like will give me some like just some support, like I wouldn't be able to have this conversation today. Like it's really
Yeah.
like I have to like lean on people to be all right. Like, and I just really hope that um, people begin to just keep their like meant to keep their hearts open to allow for that sort of like comfort and ability to like be held because that's something that I struggled with for a long time and just like having the ability to do that now has just brought so much more peace in my life.
You're sitting down with young Nay, not NAYGOD, Naomi. You're in Chicago. Let's say you're, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old. What do you say to that young person to keep them going to where you are now?
Yeah, that was also a really difficult time for me, but I would just tell them that you if like trust your intuition. You're young, so you're gonna make mistakes, but use those like hold on to those mistakes, hold on to those lessons, and just know that you are like very smart and very, discerning, and you have a lot of people around you that you can ask for help. Take it don't take everything on your own.
Wise words, everybody, to live by now and forever. Lean into community. People want to help you. You are enough. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing all your words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for the tremendous work that you do just as a human being, as a citizen of the world. We appreciate you.
You so much. You are also such a beacon and a mentor to me, and I really appreciate our conversation. You soon.
Likewise, a mentor, y'all. I got unked on my own show twice. A mentor, an elder. This is Uncle Hermex a lot. This has been Femme House Radio.